Hey you guys, happy Friday to you. Coming to you from a nice hot shop. I was doing a little bit of glass work today and I thought, you know what, this might make a fun video to go ahead and share with. But before anything, I wanted to go ahead and let you guys know that this video is actually brought to you by the good folks at Wolfsburg West. Why? Because that's where I just got some of the seals for actually the tipper truck behind me. Recently did the windshields, and then the next one's going to be the back window. So anyway, be sure to check them out, you guys, for your seals at wolfsburgwest.com. I like them. It's been great. So anyway, in the process of doing glass, I have always, thought you get these cars that are, sitting around for a long period of time, and the glass is usually kind of opaque or messed up, or sometimes you'll go to a swap meet and you'll buy a piece of glass and you'll find something that kind of, looks like this. It's got some water stains on it, and I'll be honest, there's some stuff that it can't be salvaged. But I did want to show you a couple of quick tips and tricks that I've learned that might help you. Like for example, this bent wing glass right here for a Beetle. One of the coolest things is obviously, you've got your typical tools. We can go ahead and, spray a little bit of Windex on there. And for the most part, it'll kind of clean up, get some of the dirt off. I just happened to pick up a piece of bent wing glass that I had over on the shelf. And this is for your 64 and earlier Beetle. But as soon as you start, taking some of the Windex to it, it'll kind of clean up. Not too bad, but you're talking about glass that's going to be, 60 plus years old. Now, this is glass obviously that is no longer in the frame, but let's say you're going to go ahead and rebuild your windows. One of the things that I like to do is go to Home Depot and get yourself some steel wool and get the grade quadruple zero there. It's super, 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 super fine. And you take this and you basically hit the edges of this. Might be nice to actually go ahead and put a little pad on this. This piece of glass is thrashed anyway. But you take the steel wool to these water stains, and you can see that it's already coming off, but it doesn't scratch the glass, which is really nice. Now, considering that it's got hard water stains, and especially where the rubber used to be, it'll take a little bit of work. But once you actually get that initial water stain off, then you start working with the rest of the glass, toward the center, and you kind of get the idea there that you see that stain is gone. You can then start to hit the center of it a little bit more. And then if you really, really wanted to, you could kind of polish the glass up. But the main thing is, and I'm not going to go ahead and just restore this whole window here on the video. That'll be boring. But you get the idea. You get this, and then you clean it up. So as you can see, I did this upper edge here, and it looked like what it looks like in the corner here with the water stain. The other thing too is when you start feeling the glass, you'll feel that it's a little bit harder. And so once you actually hit it with this stuff, and then of course, clean it up with some Windex and stuff, you run your nails across it, and it's actually pretty smooth. Believe it or not, the windows in the tipper truck were just like that. And I went ahead and I took them off and hit them with some steel wool. And boy, let me tell you, what a difference. I mean, those windshields actually look new, and it's the original glass. One thing that's kind of interesting though is the fact that the glass on here, being that it was basically a European export, what's interesting is that it's not laminate glass. It's tempered glass, just like you'd find on some buses where you've got, say the Secure logo here. It is tempered, where I think I've got one right here. This here is Sigla, and it's a little hard to see the logo, but it does have a little bit of a different sound to it. Now the thing with Sigla glass, and you'll notice a lot of the times it's bubbled around the edges, and that's because it's laminate glass. So, but similar to this is an old pop-out window that I had sitting around. It's kind of cool, you know, same sort of trick. You can actually go ahead and first dust it off, and then hit it with a little bit of a window cleaner here. And it still has kind of a grain to it, because you figure it's been sitting for a while and it's still pretty opaque. Now on the inside, where the inside of the bus would be, it doesn't feel too bad, but the outside does. So let's see if we can do a quick little bit of magic to this. Clean up the inside here. Sounds like a bus next door backing up. Not a VW bus. But okay, so it's still pretty opaque. But now we're going to go ahead and hit it with the steel wool. Well, I think we'll just do a spot here, just to kind of give you an idea. You know, this also, especially depending on where you park your car, whether it's a modern car or an old car, and you get hit by sprinklers, you know, a lot of the times when you're rolling up your windows up and down with electric windows, you'll notice that sometimes I go a little bit slower because you've got these water stains on there, and it's rubbing against the scrapers. I've gone ahead and actually polished up my windows. So we'll do half of this. Polish up my windows, and then my windows actually roll up and down a lot easier, and they don't put too much stress on the motor. So it definitely helps. Or just don't park to where the sprinklers are. But check it out. So the backside still, I didn't clean it that well with the Windex, but what a difference, huh? I mean, this is pretty cool. Now you can kind of see the Sigla logo a little bit better. But so this is basically what it looked like here, you know, and I mean, you can actually kind of hear it. You can see the lines, and then you just kind of hit it with the steel wool, and voila. So another thing that I wanted to go ahead and bring up for treasure hunters, when you guys are at swap meets, and mainly this is in regard to buses, a lot of the times you're walking around and you'll ask whether it's pop-out glass or non-pop-out or stationary glass. There is a size difference, and I want people to know that, because a lot of the times people say, oh, I bought this glass, and then they bring it over and they say it's all pop-outs, and guess what? It's not. So I wanted to go ahead and show you the difference, because if you notice, this glass sits inside a frame, where stationary window just goes into the body and is held by the weather stripping. So I wanted to show you how, I think, let's see here. Here we go. I have an original piece of pop-out glass here, and I have a stationary piece here. Where did it go? Yeah, here we go. Okay, I'll use a dirty one so you can actually kind of see the difference. But so here is a stationary piece of glass. A lot of the times when you're looking for glass, you'll see that on the stationary ones, every once in a while, and I've kind of somewhat cleaned this up, you'll find rubber remnants on the glass here. And I've noticed that a lot of the pop-out windows, when you take them apart, that rubber just comes right off. But on the stationary ones, for some reason, it still kind of sticks. But the difference is, when you look at the stationary one in comparison to the pop-out one, you'll see that it's smaller. Now right now it's obviously resting down on the bottom, so it's level there. But you'll see that there's actually, you know, quite a bit. Even if I try to center it here, you'll see that there's quite a bit of meat on the stationary one. So there is a difference. A lot of times people just see glass and you think that it's going to fit, but it won't. So be on the lookout for that. Anyway, yeah, so good times. Like I said, I was just kind of polishing this up and going through it, and realized, all right, this might be kind of fun to share with you. Another thing too is, you'll notice when you see the logos on here and the way that they're actually placed on a car that has windows, focus on that when you're putting the car back together, where the logos are supposed to go. There's actually a bus here that just arrived, but I won't show it to you because it's a customer car. But some windows, some of the pop-out windows, the logo is up in the correct place, and then right next to it, logo's upside down. So the main thing is, when you're putting a car back together, lay out your windows so you know you've got left side and you've got right side. And it's not so much that the glass itself is, you know, left or right. You can flip it around, but you want to make sure that at least it's going to be correct when it's on there. Another thing too, so I had shown you the Sigla glass earlier. With Sigla is usually laminate glass. So like for example, I've got a piece of Sigla glass here, but hey, guess what? It's not Sigla because this glass is tempered. Now it's a pretty decent logo, even though it's just slightly crooked, but that's reproduction. So usually if you're looking for Sigla glass, like for example, I was looking for some for my 62 Deluxe for a long time. I would find something that would have a logo and then, hey, guess what? That's tempered glass. So that's not what I wanted. Another logo that you will see from time to time, and put that back. Not that there's anything wrong with the glass. Obviously we need reproduction glass, but if you're looking for something that's going to be correct, then there you go. You will have different Security logos. Sometimes like this is more of a later, I would say probably like, you know, 64 through 67. And then you've got early Security logos, and I'll take some close-up pictures later. So this would be even earlier, you know, you're heading into the barn door era. But anyway, lots of different logos. There's some articles out there that talk about the different logos that's correct for your car. So I would advise you to go ahead and check out the Samba. I think that would definitely be helpful. But anyway, those are some tips and tricks, you guys. If and when you go to use a razor blade, by the way, I just noticed a razor blade. You want to be careful because a razor blade can scratch your glass. And another thing too, by the way, should remember this one to tell you, when you're taking the steel wool to the edges here, be extremely careful with some of the edges of the glass because they will splinter. And the last thing you want to do is have a glass splinter. So make sure you take a look at it and, you know, maybe just kind of feel your way around it if there's any chips or anything, just so as you're working on it, you don't end up actually getting glass inside your finger, because that is no fun. And there's one thing when you can see a splinter, it's another thing when you can't because it's crystal clear. That sucks. Been there, done that. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hopefully that kind of, I don't know, gives you guys a little bit of a tip so you can actually take original glass and that once looked like this and make it look like this. Also, you guys, when you're talking Safari glass, same thing like pop-out window frames, that glass is also smaller. And also, if you have original Safari windows, you want to go ahead and make sure that you have the correct thickness on the glass. You guys can go ahead and DM me or call me. I actually have a supplier that cuts the correct thickness. Most people actually get 1/4 inch glass. That's too big. So you want metric glass, and it's still available. It's a little hard to find, but it's still available, just so it'll fit in there. Actually, I think Wolfgang Safari windows, they actually use 1/4 inch glass. So you can replace those if you ever break those. But as far as original Safari windows, you cannot put the thicker glass in, or if you do, you're going to have a hell of a time, and the likelihood of it breaking is definitely a lot higher. But so when you're out there swapping around looking for treasures, ask questions, you guys. Ask somebody that knows, just to make sure that you don't buy something that you don't need. Anyway, that's it. Have a great weekend. Stay cool. Have a bitchin' summer. Know what they said in school. Enjoy your glass hunting. And if you guys have any tips or tricks, please tell me, leave it in the comments. I was just talking to my buddy Leo earlier. We were talking about glass. He had installed a windshield and he had used WD-40. A lot of people use different things. You can watch the video that we did at Wolfsburg West on the installation of window strip and glass. And Tony likes to use soapy water. I personally like to use baby powder. It seems to work really well, and it doesn't stain anything, and then at the end, just blow it right off. So, and it smells fresh. Anyway, thanks you guys for watching, and catch you on the next one.